was really interested, Matt, in Alabama. Could they hang around? And they didn't. Their path is very narrow. The fact that the ACC is looking at two bids now, the whole Big 12 conundrum, I think those were the tree toppers.
Yeah, because when you look at the rankings, there's that cluster of three SEC teams in Alabama 13, Ole Miss 14, South Carolina 15. To me, that's notable in that in a season where we've seen chaos, Paul, if those teams were further down, I'd say forget it, they're out. But I don't know that their story's done yet because of everything that's in front of them, including Clemson, including a Miami team that still has to play Syracuse. SMU's, I mean, it's just going to be fascinating with the teams that are above them.
Yeah, and Matt, what if we ended up having a debate between Alabama and Clemson? Think about this. Clemson beat Georgia, what, by 30 points, 31 points, and then you'd have Alabama that beat Georgia, could end up getting jumped by an ACC team. I mean, that might be the worst scenario I could come up with at this early hour. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of minutia, but the idea that Alabama needs upsets to get into a 12-team college playoff is still hard for me to say in this close to the Saban era.
Yeah, the fact that we are saying they need help and that they need things to go in front of them is just, it's a different 17 years that we've seen in Tuscaloosa. Overall, how would you rate the committee's job now with two rankings left?
Yeah, I don't think it's that difficult. For all the outrage that we had a week ago, it's calmed down, and it remains the Indiana story remains the biggest conundrum to me. How I thought they were done at 3 o'clock Saturday, and then the stumbling of Alabama and Ole Miss and others, Colorado in particular, helped them get back in, and it's not really worth the outrage anymore. They're in the playoffs. Just the fact that the Big Ten is in such a strong position. I mean, I look up there and try to figure out what has Penn State done. Notre Dame, lost to Northern Illinois, doesn't seem to have had a big impact on them. The ACC, if it lands two, has done very well, especially with one of its expansion teams that nobody could understand, that literally had to pay ransom money to get in to the league. And then, here I am circling back to the SEC. But I mean, I ran into people before the season that kept saying 5, 6, and I kept saying 4 would be a good number. And the fact that it could be 3 is one of the bigger upsets I have seen.
All right, so stay there for a second because there are some that would argue maybe the SEC is still overvalued. Do you believe that? Are they undervalued? Like where are we with the SEC and how the perception is?
Listen, Matt, you know where I work, but I can't say they're undervalued because right now I would put 3 SEC teams in if I'm sitting there at the head of that committee. The A&M situation is interesting. I just can't imagine A&M winning against Texas and Georgia. That's not in my card.
Yeah.
I think the fact that there were a lot of really good teams in the SEC this year that simply couldn't be consistent, and that's going to be the epitaph of the league this year. The road is very difficult, and I'm it's not for another day, but I think there will be a chilling effect for some schools. But I think Tennessee is very deserving of the playoffs. Obviously, Georgia, Texas are. If Texas looks terrible Saturday night, then that opens that conversation as well.
I might turn